The ACP stands for African, Caribbean, and the Pacific. So on the 15th of November 2023, there is a clause in this agreement that says that the moment it is signed by whoever is representing that particular country, it does not need to go back to the parliament or the National Assembly of that country for them to go through every clause, every aspect of the agreement before it is passed into law or domesticated in their various countries. So when we're talking about this treaty, you have to think beyond just trade. You have to think about your social life. You have to think about the education of your children, even yours. You have to think about your culture, your traditions. You have to think about your way of life, of course, as your culture. You have to think about your environment. You have to think about your sexual life, okay? And you have to think, of course, about your human rights, everything that particularly, when you think about it holistically, you see that it encompasses every aspect of our life, our religion, our customs, our traditions, everything, our education, how we treat and how we raise our children, how we educate our children, our social life, everything. Okay, so the African country that signs this treaty is automatically saying that, oh, I silence my voice at the international community. I'm handing over my sovereignty to the European Union. African, Caribbean, Pacific countries, any of us that signed onto this particular post-Cotonou agreement or the ACP-EU agreement is in alignment with the EU, because it means that the EU gets to vote. At the international level, we silence our voices. It means we don't count, we cannot exert ourselves, we can no longer stand on our own. The EU makes that decision for us. It's an irony for the European Union, made up of just 27 countries. When we're talking about the ACP-EU treaty, we're saying that the European Union, which is made up of 27 countries, will automatically have the decision or the right, to make decisions, to make laws, to decide the direction that 79 other countries should go. As at January 2023, the population of the European Union altogether is approximately 448 million people. Now, for Africa, Caribbean, and the Pacific, we're talking about 1.5 billion people. We are the majority. At the United Nations, African countries also have the majority. And then I must also point out that we must understand these things. African countries are known as the countries of descent when it comes to radical ideologies. When we talk about radical ideologies, I'm sure you understand when it comes to sexual rights and all the other things, when it comes to abortion, when it comes to homosexuality, when it comes to transgenderism and all of those kind of things. So the moment that the EU signs this pact with Africa, Africa ceases to exist actually at the United Nations, because if Europe is making decisions for us, it means that we have stopped existing. We no longer count. When you calculate it and you understand what that means, it simply means that what is about to happen is momentous. Isn't this slavery? Because initially, when the Europeans came to Africa, they came with guns. At the first ab initio, they came with trade. It was trade they came with. Let's not forget that. They came to trade with Africa. They came in search of new things for themselves, new resources. When they came, they met with the indigenous people and they met their rulership. That is, then we had chiefdom, we had kings and all, and we had monarchs. And then they began to trade gradually as they gained more understanding of the climate, of the environment, and of the societies and the people. They began to see their weaknesses. And in seeing their weaknesses, they saw that with their superior armory, they would be able to conquer these people. So what they did was to come into Africa and begin to plunder. So these people came to Africa to plunder, they came to pillage, they came to destroy. They came and they distilled a lot of our cultures and our traditions. They came to take forcefully, without caring for the people, the ramifications on the lives of the ordinary people. They came as long as they were able to satisfy their own needs and wants, and as their people wanted it, they took without looking back. So that treaty as it stands, it's going to take away my right as a parent. It's going to take away your right as a parent. It's not just going to stop there. It's going to take away our rights as a sovereign country. So what it means is at the end of the day, the EU decides for us what we must or we must do, or what we can or cannot do. Okay, a very critical aspect of it is that the whole of European Union, with the exception, I think, of Poland and Hungary, that has already backed out, of course, every country in the European Union is signed up for this comprehensive sexuality education, which insists that my 4-year-old, your 4-year-old, should be taught masturbation in school. As a matter of fact, they have brought up protocols that explains that a child as young as 4 years wants to be excited sexually, and so should be allowed to explore themselves sexually. Let me break that down for you. It simply means that in schools, our children are going to be exposed to masturbation, to homosexuality, to transgenderism, to pansexualism, and all the new and weird sexual ideologies out there. It means that our children are going to be sexually indoctrinated into lewd acts that you and I cannot even begin to imagine. And guess what? It's because our own people have signed up for it, and you cannot pull out of that agreement for the next 20 years. No matter what Tinubu does as a president, if this treaty is signed, this becomes his legacy. This becomes his legacy, because nothing else can trump this. For you to come into a country that is sovereign, and in your own time, you signed away the sovereignty of that country to the European Union, the same European Union that enslaved that country, the same European Union that made us slaves in our own country, the same European Union that bastardized our people and our culture and our traditions. So for me and a lot of other parents and Nigerians, this will be the legacy that a President Tinubu is leaving for Nigeria. This will be his legacy. Nothing else can trump this. How do you want to explain it? That a country, a president comes into a country, it is a sovereign. We are an individual sovereign. We have our own rights at the United Nations. In your time, just a few months, it's not even up to a year, you have watched, under your watch, you have allowed our country to be signed off, to be subordinate to the European Union. That is what this EU-ACP treaty means. Do you know how much of our resources have been pillaged to the West to keep them living the life that they are living? How many Africans are enjoying the benefits of what the average Westerner is enjoying? For us, this is modern slavery. This is us deliberately walking into slavery with our own eyes wide open. Our forefathers fought against slavery. They gave their lives. They didn't want to be slave to nobody. Why would a human being just like you think they have the right to subject you to become their slave? We are fighting slavery. We're doing everything possible to ensure that we break this nook, this thing that is holding us, so we can be free as a people. And right under President Tinubu's watch, Nigeria is about to be signed away to the European Union. Because when you quantify the aid they're giving us and you compare it to what they're going to take from us, actually we got nothing. It means that this treaty is really not a treaty. It is an enslavement agreement. And Nigerians, Africans must get up and speak against it, must insist that a President Tinubu does not allow Nigeria to sign. When is Nigeria going to call their bluff and tell them, you know what, you can kiss our royal black ASS? Because the truth is, they need to kiss our royal black ASS. Europeans cannot continue to think they are more intelligent than the average black man. We are black people. We are well endowed. We're intelligent. How many white people can stand us when we have the same, we have the same opportunities? Black people everywhere, we are well endowed physically, mentally, all around. We are well endowed. We must learn to stand up to these people and point at them and tell them, categorically, that we know what you're doing is not going to work. It is a cry, actually. This is just a cry to whoever is out there to understand that we signing this ACP EU treaty is taking us back to colonialism. It's taking us back to becoming slaves to our fellow man. We must speak up. We must do all that we can to ensure that there is a walkout, a complete walkout when that 15th of November comes, which is just in 2 days. We speak to our president and let him understand that we know what is going on and we are saying no. You cannot allow our country to be sold for pittance. You cannot allow our country to change to what we do not want or what we cannot accept. This is a cry to whoever is out there. You need to share this video. You need to do whatever it is you can to ensure that we are not sold like a piece of bread to some white people who really doesn't care. Why should 448 million voices count more than 1.5 billion voices? Why should we, who are 48 countries in Africa in the ACP, be subject to people who are just 28, 27 in the European Union? Are they more important than us? Did God make them better than us? They are not our betters. They are not even our equals on so many levels. If Africans had the same opportunity that they've had, a lot of Africans would have done a lot better. And so today, we're not really coming here to say, oh, this race is better than this race. That's not what we're saying. Because God created each and every one of us in his image and in his likeness. That's my personal beliefs. However, nobody should be subject to the other. If the EU thinks they are very smart and this is how they are coming, we should be smarter and let them know that, hey, that direction you are coming from, we understand it. We will not fall for it. The parent has the ultimate right to make the decision, the final rights over a child. What we are doing is that we're signing our parental rights away and giving it over to the European Union. The European Union doesn't even know me, doesn't know how much more my child. Why should some faceless entity who really doesn't care about me begin to make very critical decisions concerning my child for me? When I'm alive, I'm well, I'm right here. We say no to the ACP EU treaty. We rebuke it, we reject it, we refuse it. That is the message that we're passing across to President Ahmed Bola Tinubu. He needs to stop this evil that is about to befall Nigeria and the whole black race. He needs to put his foot down and say, no, we cannot sign away our rights to the European Union. We pray that the Lord will touch your heart and will show you the right way to go about spreading this message so other people can understand that there is a disaster coming, there is a grave evil coming, and we must do everything to avert it.